Okay, so please introduce yourself. Tell me what you are doing specifically at the Kigali Memorial Center and about this specific project.
Okay, I'm Nathanael Boarer. I'm Assistant Administrator for Aegis Trust Rwanda. Currently at the Memorial Center we are building a digital archive which we are housing testimonies, people's victims' names, GPS, geographical positioning systems data, and we are also including photographs, artefacts, or anything else that we can capture. Behind us we will be having a physical archive which will have most of the physical documents that relate to the documents that will be digitally displayed. The digitally displayed documents will be available for a web interface, and it will be available in two ways. It will be available here at the centre, in the other rooms, and it will also be available online via our partners in Texas, in the United States, and they will make it publicly available. You will have to request username and password in the beginning because we're trying to avoid people tampering with information, but as time goes on we may be able to reduce the security level on that. So that's what we're doing right now. We have employed 6 members of staff to work on data entry in what we call indexing. Indexing is the process that turns a tape into a digitized testimony that someone can actually search through the video footage by typing in words that appear, and then the typed transcript will take them to the right place on the tape for the words that they've selected. It will also enable them to be able to click on a person's name and bring up their fact file, and then from that person's name also be able to link through to other people that they are connected to. We also hope that it will enable them to be able to click through to places on the map and see, for example, clicking on a place on the map, you will also get all of the video references for that place as well.
Can you tell us how the project began?
The project began in 2004. It was initiated by the Aegis Trust in Rwanda. It's still being run by the Aegis Trust in Rwanda, now in partnership with the University of Texas, who are providing digital archiving experience and also most of the technical know-how on installing the digital archive. The project initially began with a collection of victims' names in Kigali, the genocide sites map for Kigali, the genocide sites map for Gikongoro, and victims' names for Gikongoro province. Most of this information is stored on paper behind us, and also there are copies of the raw information in the server, which we are slowly now implementing into our database.
Is the project the first of its kind, or is there something similar to this already out there?
Project is maybe, I wouldn't like to go as far as to say that it's the first of its kind, because there are other people who have done genocide maps before. There are other people who've done genocide databases before. I would like to think that it's going to be the most comprehensive, probably, of its kind, because Rwanda is 10 years after genocide. A lot of the telltale signs, information, artifacts and everything are still above the surface, and obviously a lot of the people are still alive as well, so we have the opportunity to be able to film most of survivors, perpetrators, and rescuers. They are all here. Most of them didn't leave the country after the genocide. In fact, most people came back into the country after the genocide, so hopefully we have prime time to capture this. Obviously it's a concern that the older generation are now dying, but we have also tried to capture at least a portion of old people's testimonies and they will also be part of this archive.
Do you find it difficult recording the survivors in terms of, do they immediately want to participate in this project, or is it something that you have to kind of encourage them to become a part of?
Do you mean in the sense, are they wanting to get involved, or do you mean in the sense that difficult in the sense for the person interviewing reliving someone else's experience?
And then having it available on the internet for everyone.
Oh, right. Well, most survivors that we've interviewed have been fairly ready to give their testimony. I know that there are quite a few survivors who aren't ready to give their testimony. I think that most people who've given their testimony have found it a liberating experience and have wanted to tell other people to give their testimonies. Even members of our staff, during the 2004 when we were building the memorial down there, directors of Aegis Trust offered the first people to record testimonies were members of our own staff, members of our team, and they had never told their stories before. They'd never had the forum to do it before, and I think that given the fairly positive and wide uptake on people who we've asked for testimonies, I think we can fairly safely say that people are very happy to participate in the project. And they, generally speaking, think that it's a great project. With regards to its availability on the internet, no one that I've heard of has really stated, any complaints about this. I think that they appreciate the fact that the international community needs to be made aware about what happened in Rwanda, and therefore I would suggest that really, it's in their interest, and they find it in their interest to, to participate in the project, and therefore feel that they have done their part to make sure that it doesn't happen in Rwanda or anywhere else in the world again.
Can you tell us more about the people directly involved in the project? Do you have mostly volunteers? Do you have different people allocated for different projects of the website?
Right. Okay. Well, at the moment we have. Most of our members of staff are paid members of staff. We do have one or two volunteers in the project, but the core team are paid members of staff. We have Eve leading the documentation program. He's the documentation centre manager, and underneath him we have a team of people working on the digitisation of footage. And we have a separate team working on turning that into a resource that people can see back on the screen. We have a small IT team, and then we have a small team of people looking for additional resources to add to the catalogue. At the moment we also have a small photographic team whose job is to work on scanning photographs. This is funded by the government of Canada through someone's degree program, and so far they have digitised quite a large proportion of the archive that was formerly stored at Ibuka, but it's our intention to continue this project up until the end of the year at least, and if funding allows then we'll obviously continue, and eventually we hope to house the contents at least of all of the other archives around the country as a digital resource. We do have a couple of cameramen, but they're part-time. However, as soon as our new camera equipment arrives, probably by the end of this month, so in less than a few days, we should also be starting a new camera team. It's hoped by the time that the documentation centre launches that we will have 8 full members of staff, possibly a couple more part-time, and we look to expand that if funds allow.
When do you think it will be the approximate date for the unveiling for the documentation centre?
We were going to open it in July, and we decided that because we're currently in the election period, and this is probably something that the President would like to inaugurate, that it would be a good idea if we wait until after the elections. And due to the programs of several of our sponsors and several of our partners, we have gone for a date that will be sometime late October or early November. We're not sure which yet, but there's that 2-week period across the end of October and the beginning of November, which will be the official launch of the documentation centre here, and hopefully at the same time the launch of the online website.
So if people want to find out more about what's going on at the Kigali Memorial Centre and with the documentation centre, is there a newsletter that Aegis Trust puts out?
I would recommend that you go on to the Aegis Trust website, aegistrust.org, and on the front page you'll find there's a small newsletter sign-up form. If you sign up for that newsletter, you should receive both the newsletter of the Aegis Trust and the newsletter of the Kigali Memorial Centre, both of which are, the Aegis Trust one is normally monthly and the Kigali Memorial Centre one is normally quarterly, or feel free to drop an email to anyone at the centre.
And what is your email address?
My email address is quite complicated. It's nathanael.boarer@aegistrust.org.
Okay, thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.